Howdy folk, hope everybody doing real good. Grits and grillades on the menu this morning. You say, what the hell's a grillade? It's an old school New Orleans dish that's usually served for breakfast and brunch. It's a cheap cut of beef or pork that is slow simmered in a tomato-based beef gravy, served over grits or rice or potatoes. I got about 2 pounds of round steak here that I bought, and they're pretty thin. We're going to go through and pound that out even thinner than that. We want this to be pretty thin. We'll cut it up some. If there's any gristle in there, we'll get that out as well. Get it floured up a little bit, get it browned off real nice, and then we'll start putting together the base for this braising sauce, which consists of the Trinity. I got a half a green, a half a red bell pepper, about 3 or 4 stalks of celery chopped up there, and a big old white onion chopped up fairly rough as well. Gonna need a little Cajun seasoning, some dried parsley, a couple teaspoons of minced garlic, some bay leaves. Gonna need a can of stewed tomatoes, some Louisiana style hot sauce and Worcestershire sauce. Gonna need a little bit of red wine to deglaze with, just to add a little acidity and sweetness. Gonna need some beef broth, a reduced sodium or no salt beef broth. Once we get this all simmered up nice and tender and ready to eat, we'll put together some quick grits, season those up a little bit with some chicken broth and cream and some cheese, make them extra good. Let's get to cooking. We're going to get this beef pounded out thinner than it is. I'm going to be using the tenderizing side of this mallet. Got that thinned out there pretty good, and if there's any gristle or anything in here, this is when you want to go in and cut it out, but I'm not seeing any. And how you cut this up is up to you. You can cut it in strips, you can cut it in big chunks. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to cut some a little bigger than others. And a little piece of gristle right in there. I'm going to cut that out so ain't nobody chewing on that mess. In fact, I think there's some right in here. We're going to get this out of here too. And this last piece had some little gristlies in it. We got us a pot heating up. I'm gonna get this beef seasoned up here a little bit, and then we'll get it dredged off in some flour. Sprinkle some little Cajun and Creole seasoning on. We're going to get a little high smoke point cooking oil in the pot. This over about a medium heat. Start laying down this floured beef. Let's see here. You want these to brown up pretty good. We'll go in a few minutes. We'll get them flipped over. Go through here and try to bust some of this fine up and get it out of the pot, along with our browned up meat. Smelling pretty good. Now you could have kept this whole, floured it up, and it'd be easier to do, but I always like to cut mine up and go through it and make sure there ain't no, gristle or fat chunks in there that's going to cause a problem when you go to eating it. If you cook it whole and then go to cut it up, it's kind of hard to find that stuff. So we're just doing this in a few batches until we get all this browned off real nice. We'll get our last batch in here. And we're scraping that browned flour bits off the bottom here, that fond. We just don't want that to burn. But we're about to get an onion in here, and it's going to sweat, and it'll bust the rest of that up. We're going to go in with about 4 tablespoons of butter, 1 onion large, here's our browned meat, looking pretty good, and you can see those brown flour bits in there. That's going to help thicken this. We'll probably use a cornstarch slurry at the end as well, but the flour that's on here is browned up real nice. Just adds another dimension of flavor, and it helps thicken. We're going to let these onions cook here in this butter about 5 minutes until they sweeten up some, brown up a little bit. We just want to get some sugars out of them before we start adding the rest of this stuff. Onions cooking in butter smell extra good. Alright, onions starting to brown up there pretty good. And let's go in with this bell pepper and this chopped celery. We're going to let this cook here together about 5 minutes and get happy. Alright, bell peppers and celery have been cooking there a few minutes, softened up some. Smelling extra good. Get this little minced garlic in here. It's about 2 teaspoons. We're going to get us a dry red wine in here. Say about a cup. red wine been bubbling here a few minutes. Got the alcohol cooked off of it. We're going to go in with a can of these stewed tomatoes. I'm just going to just bust them up a little bit here with the tongs. Go in with a little Cajun seasoning. A couple of teaspoons. Just a little Louisiana hot sauce in here. A tablespoon or two of that. Just some Worcestershire. A tablespoon or two of that. Go in with this beef broth. Go in with 4 cups of beef broth. We're going to put this browned beef in here. Going to let this come up to a good simmer. Give it a taste, see if it needs anything on seasoning adjustments. A couple of bay leaves. Boy, I tell you what, that smells good. Give this braising liquid a little taste here. Oh boy, that's good. That Trinity come through real nice. Got just a touch of nuttiness from that brown flour. I think it needs a little bit of Worcestershire and salt, so that'll take care of both. We're going to turn the fire down on this pretty low until we get a nice gentle simmer. About like that right there. And we're going to let this low simmer until this beef is falling apart. We're going to cook this to death. We want it real tender, falling apart. Could be an hour and a half, could be 2 hours. But once it's real nice and tender, we're going to get a little parsley in there, whoop us up a cornstarch slurry, get that gravy thickened up to our likings. Then we'll put together some grits. They ain't going to take too long to talk, so I'm using some chicken grits. See y'all back shortly. We've been at it about an hour and 45 minutes. Let's take a look and see if this beef is tender. Oh yeah. That's falling apart tender right there. That's exactly how I want it. Just like that. Cut it with a fork. Come on out of there now. Hell. Get that on up out of there. I pulled some of that gravy out a little bit ago, let it cool off. About a tablespoon of cornstarch mixed up in here. We're going to pour that in. Let that cornstarch simmer in there a little bit. Thicken this gravy up a little bit more. I'm going to cut this fire back all the way to low. We're going to get some grits put together. And on these grits, I'm going to be using some of these quick grits. If you can find the old-fashioned, slow-cooked grits, they're much better, but I can't never find them around my parts. And I'm going to follow the instructions for 4 servings. Calls for a cup of grits, 4 cups of liquid. We're going in with 2 cups chicken broth, 1 cup, half and half, cup of water. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of garlic powder in here. We're going to let this come up to a nice rolling boil. And then we'll whisk these grits in, let them cook a little bit, see what they're looking like. And we're going to get some cheese in there. Alright, we got that a boiling. Let's go in with these grits. reduce the heat down to a low, medium, low, and get a lid on that and let that steep for about 5 minutes. While them grits are steeping, we're going to put the last ingredient in these grillades. Boy, I tell you what, this smells absolutely delicious. We're going to get some dried parsley in here. Put about a tablespoon and a half in. Some more. About 2 tablespoons total. And that's going to finish these up. And they're going to be right to go on these grits. Very tender. It's going to be able to pull that apart with a fork. Looking pretty good. Get some cheese whooped in there. Give them a taste. Pretty darn good. Need some salt and pepper. Give these another try. See if that straightens them out. Still need just a little more salt. And that ought to do it. Let's plate up. A little bacon, some cheddar garlic biscuits. Gotta have something to sop with. Finish off with a little green onion. If that ain't the best grillades and grits, it ought to be. Let's get in here and see how it's a hitting. Oh my goodness. Boy, I tell you what. That beef simmered in that Trinity stock pairs so well with those cheese grits. Absolutely delicious. The star of the show is that tender beef and this delicious gravy. My goodness. Absolutely outstanding. Very simple to put together. It takes a little time. Gotta let it simmer a little while. But I tell you what, it is worth it. regular folks approve. That's it, folks. A old New Orleans classic. Till next time, peace.